that you need to be good in F5. So why F5 is required? So people have questions like, is it necessary to do F5? So right now, guys, even if it's a network industry, you are in routing and switching background. Even you have automation, even you have cloud, all where you require F5. So F5 has expanded its industry in network path, security part, automation part also. We have REST API, guys. Even F5 has its own automation tool, its own programming, which is called iRule and local traffic policies. So you can automate the things also using Python and REST API, even in cloud, whether it's an AWS or Google Cloud or Azure. Everywhere right now, F5 is getting deployed. Then we will discuss about little bit on architecture, and then finally we will have Q&A. So guys, let's go first into the course content. So I will first jump directly into the course content so that you can get an idea. So guys, total we will have around 12 modules in this total F5 LTM training. It will be more than 24 to 26 hours, and the combo combination would be 60 hours. So Palo Alto plus F5 would be around 60 hours course. And training would be weekends. Timings would be 9 a.m. IST to 11 a.m. IST. And it will be only weekend classes. So in LTM, I will let you know like what exactly we will be covering. We will be starting with the guys architecture, how to deploy F5 in the lab. So either you can deploy F5 on VMware or EVNG. So most probably we prefer VMware because F5 has free licenses. Even you only need 6 to 8 GB RAM, which you need to deploy an F5 image. All the images, all the softwares will be given by our team only. Then guys, we will cover initial setup, like how to configure management IP from scratch. What are the requirements to configure the network segment? We will discuss all this in details. Even guys, whenever you work in production, like how you will get an F5 box with unbox of F5, then you need to configure it. So there are multiple steps. So all will be covered in detail and how you are ready with the production environment. So all this training, guys, I've been working from last 10 years. So you will get an idea like what are the issues you face and how we configure it. Either you need to be working in operations profile or you are working in implementation profile. So we will cover all the aspects. Then the third important modules which we will be covering is load balancing algo, guys, which is the base. So I will show you like when we deploy F5, how it load balance. Let's say if client request comes in to F5, let's say we have deployed F5, then we have multiple servers behind F5 where the application is hosted. Let's say my application is SIANETS.com that needs to be deployed behind F5. So my main purpose is, guys, I have multiple clients, let's say in millions. So all your traffic needs to be load balanced between multiple servers, guys. Why? Because if this server goes down, so that this servers can load balance. So that's why, guys, there are two terms in load balancer: load plus balancer. Load means client request. Your client request will come, multiple client request can come in. It will jump to F5, then I need to balance, right? Let's say if I don't have a load balancer, then you will have only one server in picture. All your requests will go to only one server. First issue is your memory. Second issue will be CPU utilization. So that's where your load balancer comes in picture, and that's where your load balancing algo comes into picture. So we will cover all multiple. So there are two types of load balancing. One is static and one is dynamic. So we will cover that in detail. Next topic, guys, is health monitor, which is very important. In most of the industry, health monitor. Without health monitor, F5 will not work. It's like you need a BP machine to check your BP blood pressure. So F5 should have any machine. So F5 should have any technique to consider that whether server is down or server is not down. So let's say guys, I'm giving you one in between. I will give you one scenario where generally what will happen is you have a client. Okay, let's say client 1, you have client 2, you have client 3. Then you have F5 and then you have server 1, server 2, server 3, and all the servers will be having your application SIANETS.com. Same here, same here. So your client request will come here, and it will get load balance. First request will go here, second request will go here, and third request will go here. So why health monitor is important, guys? Let's say if I don't have health monitor. So one the main purpose of installing load balancer is, let's say if this server goes down, your client request should never go to this server. If it goes to this server, then you will face intermittent issues. So that's where this concept is important to understand. Why health monitor is important. If you don't have health monitor, then F5 does not have any tracking. It does not know whether this server is up, this server is down, or this server is up. So that's where your F5 load balancer comes into picture. Very, very important term, guys. We will be covering in detail with Wireshark capture. So for every topic, guys, to understand traffic flow, you have a Wireshark. So I will be covering everything in detail with packet flow. Next topic, guys, let's come again, which is related to profiles. So profiles can be TCP profile, HTTP profiles, or it can be layer 3 profile. Generally, F5 works with TCP and HTTP profile. In TCP, guys, you have TCP LAN optimization, WAN optimization. So we will discuss different scenarios, guys. So when we log in into F5, I will show you how the profiles works. So let's say F5 wants to understand layer 7. So I have F5. F5 wants to understand whether the request is layer 4 or layer 7. For that, we need an F5 load balancer. And in F5 load balancer, it has a profile which will differentiate whether traffic is layer 4 or traffic is layer 7. Now, the next topic which is important is NAT and SNAT. So in every interview, in every production environment, you should understand the difference between NAT versus SNAT. So we will cover all the use cases in detail. So people have question, guys, they are not working on F5, how they can crack the interview. So don't worry, guys, we will discuss everything in use case. Even you are a fresher, you will able to understand. Because the major, again, I am saying F5 has 30 days free license. So you can do any lab, you can set up any lab, you can test any feature on the lab. So that is where F5 is in huge demand. Next topic is iRules, guys. iRule is again a programming language. Let's say I want to redirect traffic. Whenever traffic comes at HTTP, I need to redirect to HTTPS. Or let's say I have one client. If I talk about iRule, guys, what is the use of iRule? So iRule can do all things which cannot be done by default, which F5 cannot do default, that can be done by iRule. So iRule is one of the feature which can modify your traffic, which can inspect your traffic, which can redirect your traffic. So that is how iRules work. So let's say I have a Mozilla Firefox. Someone is coming from Mozilla or someone is coming from Google Chrome. or someone is coming from Internet Explorer. So traffic coming here is client 1, client 2, client 3. I want to redirect traffic coming from Mozilla to server 1. If someone is coming from Google Chrome, I want to redirect its traffic to server 2. If someone is coming from Internet Explorer, I want to redirect traffic to server 3. That all things can be done through I rule, guys. Very, very important term. So we will cover everything. Even nowadays, guys, I rule is getting replaced with local traffic policies, which is more major user friendly. It is F5 has made it more user friendly. So I rules are getting replaced with local traffic policies. So in this, what will happen is it saves your CPU utilization. So CPU cycle, both the things are same, but this is little advanced, guys. So it will give you an idea. I will show you right away after course content is completed, how it will go. Next topic, guys, which we will cover is HA, high availability. Either you can deploy in active passive, most of the environment you will deploy active passive. And second case is active active. Now, the next topic which people have is whether we will cover GUI or not. So guys, we will be covering GUI and CLI both in detail, because most of the features can be done by GUI, but CLI is as much important as GUI. You want to upgrade anything, or you want to roll back, or let's say you want to do any automation. Let's say my requirement is, guys, I need to configure 100 virtual servers. So how you can do? So for that, CLI is very, very important. So we will cover everything through CLI. Let's say I want to do TCP dump, Wireshark capture, that can be done by CLI. Let's say I want to see any connection table, live connection table, that can also be done by GUI and CLI. Then we will cover admin tasks, how to configure, integrate with Takas, how to integrate with syslog, how to configure NTP, DNS, all this system admin tasks, how to license the box, all this will be discussed in admin tasks. Then guys, there is very, very important term which comes into picture is partition versus route domain. Very, very important, guys. That will be covered also in detail. So what is route domain? What is partition? All these things will be discussed properly. Another topic which comes into picture is IAP. IAP is another feature like iRule, but here IAP is a customized template. Let's say I want to deploy Exchange application. So rather than configuring the Exchange application manually, you can automate. So IAP is a feature to automate complex applications, which has ready-made template available. Let's say we have an Exchange template or Outlook web access, OVA access. Or let's say you want to configure any Google application, that you can configure through IAP. Then guys, there is a special 4 hours already recorded videos, which is free of cost. Even I will be discussing with every topic, like in profile, what can be issues, how we resolve, in snat, how we can check. And we have a separate 4 hours troubleshooting videos available. This was our agenda, course agenda. See detailed, you can visit our website and you will get to know. So you can visit sianets.com and you will get to know the course content. So go here. In the courses tab, you will go to LTM ADC. We have a separate Telegram group also, like WhatsApp. So there you can ask your doubts. And when you go downwards, guys, in downwards, you will see complete syllabus. You can just click on download, you will get. So I will not go much. So this is how We will go step by step. First topic, 10 topics. Second one, so I'm not going much here right now. So now guys, let's discuss little bit on F5. What is F5? What are the different products available? So guys, if I talk about F5 guys, F5 has different products in the market. First one is LTM guys. People know LTM or big IP. But if I ask you what is the full form of LTM, so it is called local traffic manager. Why it is called local guys? Can someone answer me why it is called local? So guys, local means I have one application. My customer is Google. Google has come in. Hey, Skilled Inspirational Academy, I need to deploy SIANETS.com application. There is one application which I have a visibility 24/7. I have traffic customers from US, India, Singapore, China. So I want 24/7 availability of my application. So Skilled Inspirational Academy, do you have any device which can provide me 24/7 availability? So I will say, yeah, sir, you can deploy. So we have F5 Ltm, which provides you what features. So if anyone guys ask you question, what features does F5 Ltm provide? First one is 24/7 availability of your application. Even you go to any interview guys, this question will be asked. So application is any application, any website, any HTTP based application or any application. Second thing, it's security guys. So security, I will talk about security. Third one is scalability. So all these features will be provided by F5. So F5 by default is guys full proxy model. If this is very important, there is a confusion people have between full proxy versus reverse proxy. So guys, don't get confused. Both terms are same, but in F5 they have introduced a term full proxy server. Why? So let's talk little bit on full proxy. So let's say I have F5 in between. Okay. Now I have client here. This is my computer and this is my server. I'm just treating, this is also one F5, this is also one F5. One client. This you can treat as one box. I'm just treating as separate box. Just to show you what is the use case of full proxy. So guys, when I talk about full proxy is very important in F5. What it does, it will have two separate connections. First of the important concept is two separate connection. So what does it means is there will be a separate SYN packet from client to F5, SYN-ACK, and acknowledgement. So there will be TCP connection between client to F5, and there will be a separate TCP connection between F5 to the server. So that is where it will have two separate connection. So that is why it is called proxy. So client cannot directly connect to the server. So there is a device which comes in picture. So it will see whether traffic is good or traffic is bad. Until this connection is made, guys, this connection will not be made. So that is why there is a security. So first client traffic will come. So there will be a TCP three-way handshake will happen between client to F5. Then only there will be three-way handshake between F5 to server. So that is why it is called full proxy model. Another advantage, guys, of full proxy is first one is two separate connection, and second advantage is I'm just drawing it. Let's say I have I'm just drawing a bigger picture of one F5 box. Then I have 4 PCs. First one is 2 separate connection, 2 TCP handshake. Let's say this is server 1, server 2, server 3. Server is nothing, guys. Don't get confused. Server is basically app server, or you can say database server, or you can say web server. All these are same thing. Some people will say application server, some people will say database server. So application server is basically a physical device where your application is hosted. Let's say google.com, sianets.com. So when I access this sianets.com, so this must be hosted somewhere, guys, right? So that is where this application will work. So there must be some device where your application will work, right? So that is where your web server comes into picture. Your application is physically hosted. So F5 is just a virtual or a physical device. So you will configure one VIP, virtual IP. So when we'll go further, you will understand more in this. But application server, database server, or web server, which means your application is physically hosted here and load balancing will happen. So the traffic gets load balanced. Second advantage is, guys, of load balancer is, let's say I want this traffic to be encrypted, but this traffic I want plain text. So that is also where your full proxy comes into picture, where you can have separate connection. I want client to F5 traffic to be encrypted. I want when client access any website, it should be HTTPS. But when F5 send traffic to the server, it should be plain text. So this is how the picture is. Let's say client, this connection will be HTTPS and this connection will be plain HTTP. That can only be done using F5. This connection does not have any dependency on this. So that is why it is called full proxy. This will work as a proxy also, and this will work as a full proxy also. Another advantage is, guys, first advantage of full proxy was 2 separate connections. Second advantage was it will completely understand your application, whether it's an encrypted traffic or whether it's an unencrypted traffic. So it can completely understand your application flow. Because F5 has a visibility, right? What is coming in, what is coming out. So that traffic is called, it can examine both the traffic, request traffic and response traffic. Both the traffic can be examined. So guys, when I talk about request and response, what is that? So guys, your HTTP, when I talk about HTTP protocol, it's very important, guys. You should have basic understanding of HTTP. Every interviewer will ask you. So HTTP works at 2 layers. One is request header and one is response header. So even I was previously not working as an F5 engineer, so I was not aware how HTTP works. But people mostly know how TCP works, but people don't know how HTTP works. So people should understand these 3 protocols in detail: DNS, TCP, and HTTP. So whenever you examine, whenever you open any website, so let me show you. I will just click on developer tool. So there is a tool where you can examine what is coming in and what is coming out. So I will just refresh on page and I will click on network tab. I will show you what I'm talking about. So I will go developer tool. I will open it. So this is how your developer tool looks like. So I will go to initial page. Let's say I am just going to this page. Okay. So when I go to this page, you will see two things. One is a request header and one is response header. So what is the difference between a request header and response header? So when I talk about guys request and response header, I have F5, I have client, I have server. So request header is whatever client is sending to F5. So client will send some request which F5 will forward to the server. So that is how F5 load balancer works as a proxy. Whatever traffic it receives, it will send to the server. Now when server will respond, that is called response header. So F5 can examine both the traffic. So that is where that is called HTTP. So if you don't have HTTP profile, F5 does not have visibility of this traffic. So that is where profile section is very, very important term. So when I talk about request traffic, can you see this? What is the method? So when you initiate SIANETS.com, my website, you access HTTPS, you will have two methods, request and response. You will have request method, then the URL. So URL is nothing guys, URL is website URL. This is full URL. And can you see remote address? What is the remote address of my website? And status code 200. Okay. And what server is sending? So you can see my server is Apache. So I'm using Apache web server in my application. SIANETS.com is hosted on my Apache server. And Apache is an HTTP based application. So when I talk about layer 7, so layer 7 talks about HTTP, and in F5 it's called HTTP profile. Because I want to understand, right? As an F5, I want to understand whether traffic is normal TCP or traffic is HTTP. So that's why it is very, very important to understand what is request header and what is response header. So this we will anyways, we will once let's talk about I rule and local traffic policy, which people thinks it's very complex. So let me show you how complex it is. I will log in into F5 quickly and I will show you how I rule works. So I have one device I have deployed in my VMware. The same you can also deploy. So don't worry guys, we will help you to build a lab from scratch. So I have this device. I will go to local traffic. So this is how your F5 looks like. So when we will talk about network architecture, we will discuss all the things in detail. But this is how your F5 looks like. So in the previous demo, guys, I've already covered about the network architecture. You can check my videos, but I wanted to cover little bit on little I rules today or local traffic. So when I talk about local traffic policies, guys, so you go to local traffic policies tab. You will see policies here. Now, what I need to do? Let's say, guys, I need to redirect some good traffic. Someone is coming from Google Chrome and one user is coming from Mozilla. And in the background, I have one F5 server. F5 server has one red server behind and one is green server. So what I want, if some traffic comes from Google Chrome, it should go to red server. If traffic coming from Mozilla, it should go to green server. How I can do it? How F5 will determine whether traffic is Google Chrome or traffic is Mozilla? Can someone tell me? My question is how F5 identify whether traffic is coming from Google Chrome browser or Mozilla. So that is where guys your request and response header comes into picture. So there is one field which is called user agent, through which F5 determine. So let me just show you. I will go, and if I open this, any website, so there is one user agent comes into picture. Can you see one? There is one host, then cookie, then there is one user agent field. So this is where through this it will determine whether client is using Mozilla or Google Chrome. So that is why, guys, HTTP protocol is very, very important. So how I rules, when I talk about I rules or local traffic policies, then you need to have an understanding of little bit on HTTP. So now let's do it. I have a scenario which I have already prepared. So I'm just bringing that diagram again. So I will go to policies. Then I will create one new policy. I will give policy name user agent traffic flow. So I will say create policy. Now, guys, I need to create a rule. So when I talk about, see, how easy local traffic policy is today, you will understand. Nowadays, guys, everyone is using local traffic policies. I rule people are using, but I rule F5 will make it remove. After some time, after 2 years, 3 years, this will get totally exchanged to local traffic policy. As per F5, this says CPU less resource. So when we implement local traffic policy, when F5 sees the traffic in and out, it uses less CPU. But when we implement I rule, it uses more CPU cycle. So let's come further into local traffic policies. So there are two terms. First, you have given the name, then match condition. So I will give the condition. If I have client Mozilla, if I have client Google, Chrome, so that is where the condition comes. So if someone coming from Mozilla, I want to redirect the traffic to green server. Someone coming from Google Chrome, I will implement it should go to red server. So first you need to give the condition. Here the condition is, here I will give the condition, hey, F5, someone is coming from Mozilla, I want to redirect. So that is called action. If that match, then this action will perform. So that is how easy it is. First you will give the condition. If that condition is true, then what action you need to perform. So whole local traffic policy is divided into condition and action. If that condition is true, it will go to that way. If that condition is not true, it will redirect further into other traffic. So I will define here the condition. If here, can you see this? So what I will do, I will say HTTP user agent, browser type. So either you can go this or you can say HTTP header, because my header is HTTP header. Then you can say, I will just select here user agent. I will copy this header, user agent is or contains Mozilla. Then add request. Can you see request time or response time? Then I need to, what I need to do? Then I will forward the traffic to which node or pool, let's say. So I have condition, either I will forward to particular node or I will forward to web pool. So there are multiple pools. So you can also configure. So let's say I have one pool here. I will configure one green and red server pool also. So pool is nothing but a collection of multiple servers. So when I will configure in class, so I will have one F5 image, then I will have three servers. One is red server, one is green server, and one is blue server. So I'll be using three server for traffic load balancing. So traffic comes from client, some traffic will go here, some traffic will go here, and some traffic will go here. So that defines your load balancing algo. So I will have in my virtual machine, I will be sharing all this. So I have two servers which are up. One is red and one is green. So I will create two pools. So I will go to pool, create, I will create one red pool. So what I will do is simple HTTP monitor. And here I will define node list. So my red server is 10.2.2.30. 180. Finish. And I will create one green pool. And I will just determine the TCP monitor and I will select green server here. Add, finish. So what I did was, guys, I created, because my requirement, if someone is coming from Mozilla, it should go to green server. If some request is coming from Google Chrome, then it should go to red server. So I created two pools, right? Because I need to define a condition. Now I will jump again to policies tab. I will go here, create and define name. I will give a here user agent. Again, name, any name you can give, which you can identify. HTTP header. Then I will say user. You can give here everything. You just write user, it will come. Contains Mozilla. Then I will go to forward the traffic to which pool? Green pool or red pool? If someone is coming from Mozilla, I'll forward the traffic to green server. So I will save it. Then I will save and publish. So right now it has created policy in publish draft mode. Then finally you can make in publish. So can you see? There is one draft policy. So draft policy is a rough policy where you can make the changes. But when it's published, you cannot do any changes. Again, when you need to do any changes, you need to make it draft. So draft means a rough policy, publish means a permanent policy. So let's see. So I will go to virtual server. So guys, what is virtual server? Virtual server is nothing, URL of your website. Your all traffic from client, when comes to F5, first it will hit your virtual server. You can say virtual server is the listener or a URL of a website where all traffic will come of the client. Multiple client will access this virtual server. So easy term is virtual server is nothing but IP address of your website plus port number. Let's say my IP address application is SIANETS.com. So SIANETS.com has one IP address and port number is 80 or 443. So I have one virtual server. This one is my virtual server. I'll go to this virtual because all your client traffic will first hit your virtual server. I'll go to resources and here I will go to policies tab and I will call that. The policy which I created, I will just call here. Now guys, I will go to Mozilla and I will check what will happen. So I've given the condition, what happens? So if I click here, what is the condition I have given? If user agent is Mozilla, it should go to green server. So let's see what happens. So what is the condition I have given? When F5 receive a traffic and it contains Mozilla at request time, it should forward the traffic to green server. So let's see what happens. I will access my website 192.168.1.60. See guys, if I refresh, every time it will go to green server. And if I go to Google Chrome now, let's see what will happen. This is my Google Chrome. I will access page here. Because I have given one condition, right? I did not mention Google, so it cannot identify from Mozilla. If I change here, I will click here. I will create draft. Now I will change it. If traffic coming from Mozilla, it should go to red server. And I will add one condition here. If HTTP header user agent contains Google, or I will say Chrome, then I will forward the traffic to pool green server. So this is how condition is. So I will save and publish. So previously I was telling Mozilla should go to green server. Now I will refresh and see what will happen. So I will open this and check. So through Mozilla, it should go to where? Red server. So let's see what happens. I will just open, just let me stop sharing and open it again. I'm just sharing again so that you will get to know. So now let me share it. Again, the screen I'm sharing so that you will get to know. This is my Mozilla. Now previously I've given the condition it should go to green server when traffic comes to Mozilla. Now I will refresh it and see. Now I've given the condition if someone coming from Mozilla, it should go to red server. So I will refresh and see. Maybe clear cache. So it's not working. So somewhere that condition, so that also you can troubleshoot. What I will do is I will again go here and policies, user agent, and I will change into draft. I will remove this condition and remove this and say red pool. Let's see first, will it work or not? I will publish it and refresh. See guys, so there were some issues. Now it's going to red server. So this is how you can create a policy. So it's very easy. If you need to configure iRule, then you can configure iRule also. But here you need to manually define your name first. Then when traffic request comes, if HTTP like this, you need to write program manually, header. So this is how easy policy they have make. Instead of iRule, now they are calling policies. So guys, this is all we will discuss in detail, starting from scratch. What is virtual server? What is pool? What is pool member? Then we will discuss about architecture, one arm versus two arm. So all this cover will be detailed. So I can guarantee that if you do this course, I'm not saying whether you will clear or not. Maybe you have some doubts, you can ask that. But after this course, you can clear any interview, even you can work on any production issues. So I will just stop